Hey guys, it's C1 from C Team and welcome back to our GregTech tutorial series. Today you will learn everything you need to know about the basic machines for GregTech. But before we get into the machines themselves, we will review their interfaces and the programmed circuit. So let's get started here. Alright, I've got the basic extractor here. So first we'll just kind of look into the interface. When you click on a machine, it looks just like the generators. If you watch the basic generators video, you should be relatively familiar with the interfaces. Top right over here we have just basic information for the machine. So this, it says dejuicer, device of doom, D123. So every machine's got sometimes a funny little description of what it does. Then it tells you the volts that it takes in. This is low voltage, so of course it's 32 EU per tick, or 32 volts. The energy capacity, or the energy that it holds, is 2048 EU, and the fluid capacity is 8,000 millibuckets. So if you're processing something that has a byproduct of liquid, it'll hold 8,000 millibuckets of it. So here, this is obviously where your items go into to process, and then this is like the progress bar and your output here. If you click on here on any machine, it'll have some sort of symbol. There's different types, but it'll show you all the recipes. And with the GregTech machines, you can get anywhere from like one recipe to like a couple thousand, depending on what machine it is. So you click through here, you can it'll tell you everything, every possible product you can get. And then it's important when you look in recipes, or when you're looking to see how to make things for GregTech, to look at what tier it is of volts. So this one, electrum screw, we can see it, it's LV, so that means we can make this with this machine because it's LV. But this one down here says HV, that's high voltage, or the 512 volts, which means this machine can't make this product, which would be reducing the small tungsten carbide fluid pipe into liquid tungsten carbide. So you can't do this one because this is obviously not a high voltage machine, and it would require higher power to do that operation. Right here we have a charger slot, so this, you can input batteries in here that you can make, and we'll go over how to make those, or at least how to use them and make them work later on in the video. But yeah, you can put in LV batteries in here, and this I could put in a battery right here and it would power the machine. So it would use the power from the battery to make it work, so you wouldn't necessarily have to use a generator. So as for tools, it says it charges LV tools and batteries. I actually haven't tried that yet because there are battery charger like machines. So it says charges LV tools and batteries, so you might be able to put an empty battery in here, and if it's hooked up to a generator, it might just charge that while it's working as well. Or like a power tool, which you see over here, the tools, the wrench that holds EU, that's a power tool. So it's the same use and everything. You can use it in crafting and everything. It just uses EU, and I believe I don't use these, but I believe what it does is it uses the EU instead of losing durability. But I do know if it does break, you can just replace the tip of it. You just remake this part, and you'll have a new one. So there's that. Next up here, we've got basically the configurator. It just shows you, like the basic generators, it shows you every block adjacent to the machine. So we've got our floor here, and then the cable on the left right there. This is really important for auto crafting, so you'll want to let's see here, what we're gonna do is, okay, move, that's great, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this ME pattern provider on it. I'm not gonna hook a whole ME system up to this machine, but this is what you would have to bring in items and fluids in and out of the machine from the ME system where you're storing all your stuff. So you put that, usually, I put it on the back, and what you do in here is you go to the side that the pattern's on, and what you do is you left click for solids on your mouse and right click for fluids. And that, so the blue is fluids, orange is going to be the solid items. So we're going to click, and once you see auto, you leave it alone. Usually it takes 2 or 3 clicks. Then with the fluids, you got to right click. It's at auto. So now what this means is it's automatically accepting fluids in it, and it's automatically outputting as you know the machine needs to do it. Same with the solids here. So you can see allow items input from the output sides. You click that, you know. So when you're doing your auto crafting with like an ME system or whatever you're using, you have to have these enabled for it to work, right? Because otherwise your ME system can't push in items and the machine can't export the items unless you do that. So that's really, really important. Again, auto crafting is a must for GregTech, so keep that in mind. You'll definitely want this. This, I literally never found a use for this. If you happen to know what this is for, you can leave in the comments. I can't find anything that like goes in there or nothing. Just, it is what it is. I'm not really sure what that means. So this is the power button, obviously, same as the generators. Same thing here for the overclocked here. You can switch it to ULV or LV. Normally you won't need to use that. It's the same as the generators. And then down here, this is a relatively new update GregTech did, where you used to have to make programmed circuits for each machine, or like have one on you to use in recipes. So like, if we look at this, it's using a lot of different machines for different recipes, basically, because sometimes you'll have the same like materials for recipe, but you have to use a program circuit. But depending on the number of the program circuit, it could create a different product, or material. So if you do happen to make one, craft one, what you do is you just right click, and then you choose your number, whatever one that's required for the recipe. But you don't have to do that anymore for GregTech because of this update. So what you can do is you come down here to circuit settings, and then you just like I showed you, just choose one. So now if I choose 1, it's always gonna be put on 1, and it'll just stay like that. So it's just gonna stay like that. You can do that for whatever one. Now, normally I recommend when you make a machine and you use it for the first time, you just come in here and set it to 1, because most recipes, like 90% of them, are, if it uses a program circuit, it's going to be 1. If it doesn't use a program circuit, it doesn't matter. If it doesn't need it, it won't even care about whatever number you put in here. It doesn't matter. But if it does need it for the recipe, then it'll just use whatever is in there. So it's really cool that this is here now, because before you had to keep one on you, one of these, and or make multiples of them and put them in machines, take them out when you didn't need them, and it was like a headache. Now you don't really have to do that. Much more friendly with auto crafting. One thing to note though is machines that use programmed circuits regularly will sometimes, maybe you'll need a 2 or a 3. Unfortunately, the auto crafting, the ME system, whatever, you have to exclude these from your recipes when you make them, the copies, the patterns. You have to exclude the program circuit, and because you just use it on the machine, you just set it here. And so when you have a recipe in here that's a 1 in the pattern, you're only going to be able to use 1 as a program circuit. So if you need to use a 2 or a 3, you should basically just create another whole machine for that recipe, or all recipes using a program 2 or 3, for the ease of auto crafting. Or you can come in here and manually change it once you start the thing. But when you're trying to auto craft something, if let's say I have this at 1, I mean, this isn't a machine that does it, but let's say it did. I have something in here that uses the program circuit 1, then it goes through fine. but in the same recipe, maybe there's something I have to make using the same machine. This one that's programmed circuit 2. That will stop your auto crafting and it won't ever finish the auto crafting because it can't change the number itself. And you can't, so you have to manually do it yourself. Or the other way around it is for that specific recipe, you make another machine, put that recipe in that machine, and keep that machine at like programmed circuit 2. So keep that in mind. You'll run into that if you do auto crafting, and it's going to be kind of annoying, but that's the solution. Unfortunately, you kind of have to make a whole other machine. So yeah, that's the interface. It's basically the same for all the machines. They're gonna have different slots and all this and that, but they're all basically like this. So now that we've covered the program circuit and the interfaces of the machine, we'll get into each machine, and there's a lot of them. The first machine we will start with is the basic form press. This machine is not necessarily needed to advance in the mod, but it can produce components for the ME system to start auto crafting. I won't go into detail about how to make the auto crafting technology unless it's requested. To make this basic form press, you will need 4 tin cables, 2 LV electric pistons, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 LV machine hole. This machine can make ME system components, molds, turbine blades, and even desserts. The second machine you should make will be the basic extractor. This machine allows you to make rubber quicker by extracting rubber logs or sticky resin. I recommend extracting the sticky resin because it gives you 3 rubber pulp instead of 1 from the rubber log. You will need to get a lot of rubber for cables, rubber sheets, and other rubber components. To craft it, you'll need 2 glass, 1 basic electronic circuit, 1 LV electric piston, 1 LV electric pump, and 2 tin cables. Use this machine to make your rubber pulp. Third, we'll make the basic assembler. The assembler is quite useful machine with a wide range of recipes. It's mostly used to make components that require multiple materials and cables. To craft it, you'll need 2 LV robotic arms, 2 basic electronic circuits, 2 LV conveyor modules, 2 tin cables, and an LV machine hole. To make the LV robotic arm, you'll need 3 tin cables, 2 LV electric motors, 2 steel rods, 1 LV electric piston, and 1 basic electronic circuit. And to make the LV conveyor module, you'll need 6 rubber sheets, 2 LV electric pistons, and 1 tin cable. Next, we will look at the basic macerator. You should be pretty familiar with this machine by now, but pay attention later on in the video because some of the new machines can use the crushed ore produced by the macerator. To craft this, you'll need 1 LV electric piston, 1 LV electric motor, 1 diamond, 3 tin cables, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 basic electronic circuits. Alright, now let's craft the basic alloy smelter. You should also be familiar with this machine. It will be the cornerstone of your operations, making rubber sheets and alloys needed to progress in the mod. You'll need 2 basic electronic circuits, 4 4x copper wires, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables. To make the 4x copper wires, you will craft 2 single copper wires to make the 2x copper wires, and then you'll craft 2 of those to get together to get the 4x. Now we can make the basic mixer. The mixer is super important because it makes any special materials using a combination of dust, liquids, and the programmed circuit. To craft it, you'll need 4 glass, 1 tin rotor, 1 LV electric motor, 2 basic electronic circuits, and an LV machine hole. Next, we can make the basic chemical reactor. This is another important machine that creates various chemical concoctions. To craft it, you'll need 2 glass, 1 tin rotor, 2 tin cables, 1 LV electric motor, 2 basic electronic circuits, and an LV machine casing. Up next will be the basic electrolyzer. This machine electrolyzes the molecules of a material, which breaks it down and separates its base components. To craft this, take 4 gold wires, 1 glass, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 tin cable. Okay, we will be needing the basic cutter now. The basic cutter reduces components and materials to a smaller version, and it creates some special components. Your main use for this machine will probably be to make wafers. We will cover those in another tutorial video. To make this, you will need to first make cobalt brass dust by mixing 7 brass dust, 1 aluminum dust, 1 cobalt dust with the program circuit code 1 in the mixer. Then make 8 ingots out of the 9 dust and make 4 plates of cobalt brass. You will then craft the 4 plates with the saw, hammer, file, and wire cutters to get a cobalt brass buzzsaw blade. Now take 2 tin cables, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 glass, 1 LV machine hole, the buzzsaw blade, and an LV electric motor to create the basic cutter. With the basic cutter made, we can make the basic gas collector. The gas collector is pretty simple. By using a program circuit, you can collect air from the overworld, nether, and the end. Take 4 iron bars, 1 fluid filter, 2 LV electric pumps, 1 LV machine hole, and a basic electronic circuit to craft. To make the fluid filter, you will need your basic cutter to cut a block of lapis, to make a lapis plate. Then you will craft 4 zinc foils to finish the fluid filter. So now let's make the basic distillery. The distillery can refine chemicals to make other necessary liquids needed for GregTech. To craft it, you'll need 2 glass, 1 copper spring, 2 basic electronic circuits, 2 tin cables, and 1 LV electric pump. Until you make your basic bender, you can craft the copper spring by using the saw, file, 2 long copper rods, and the wire cutters. Next, we will make the basic bender. The bender manipulates metals of various shapes. To make this, you'll need 2 LV electric pistons, 1 steel plate, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV machine hole, 2 LV electric motors, and 1 tin cable. Your next machine will be the polarizer. This machine magnetizes certain metals. Craft this using 4 2x10 wires, 2 iron rods, 2 tin cables, and an LV machine hole. Now we will cover the lathe. The lathe makes rods, buzz saws, screws. Most importantly, it makes the glass lens, which you need for your laser engraver. To craft it, you'll need 3 tin cables, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV electric motor, 1 LV machine hole, 1 diamond, and an LV electric piston. Let's look at the laser engraver now. The laser engraver uses special glass lenses to enhance gems, add textures to blocks, or most importantly, it produces your wafers. Again, we will cover this item later. To make the laser engraver, you'll need 2 electric pistons, 1 LV emitter, 3 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables. To make the LV emitter, you'll have to use 2 tin cables, 4 brass rods, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 quartzite. Alright, let's cover the basic ore washer now. The ore washer can refine crushed ore, impure dust, and purified dust. To craft it, you'll need 2 tin rotors, 1 glass, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV electric motor, 2 tin cables, and the LV machine hole. Next, we will make the basic electric furnace. This machine smelts stuff like a regular furnace. Craft it using 2 basic electronic circuits, 4 2x copper wires, an LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables. Now let's make the basic forge hammer. The forge hammer processes ore similar to the macerator, and it can make other components needed for crafting. To make this, you'll need 4 tin cables, 1 LV electric piston, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV machine hole, and an anvil. Okay, let's look at the basic rock crusher. This is the same as the steam one, and you can still only make the ULV recipes. Craft it by taking 1 LV electric piston, 1 LV electric motor, 1 diamond, 2 tin cables, 1 LV machine hole, and 3 glass. Alright, let's move on to the basic air scrubber. The air scrubber removes carbon monoxide in the air that's produced from multi-block structures like the large steam boiler and the electric blast furnace. To craft this, you'll need 2 LV electric pumps, 4 fluid filters, and 2 basic electronic circuits. Next, let's make the basic extruder. The basic extruder uses different molds to create components and items for GregTech. Make this using 4 times copper wires, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV electric piston, 1 LV machine hole, and a normal bronze fluid pipe. Now we can make the basic compressor. The compressor makes small materials into big materials, such as crafting 9 ingots into a block. Take 2 basic electronic circuits, 2 LV electric pistons, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables to craft. Next, let's craft a basic chemical bath. The chemical bath uses various liquids and chemicals to change the properties of a certain material. To craft it, you'll need 2 LV conveyor modules, 2 glass, 1 tin cable, 1 LV electric pump, 2 basic electronic circuits, and an LV machine hole. Okay, let's look at the basic brewery now. The brewery can make biomass bacteria, enriched bacterial sludge, and lubricant. Note that the bacteria recipe requires HV power and a sterile clean room. Don't worry about this yet. Make this by crafting 2 glass, 1 LV electric pump, 2 tin cables, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and a copper spring. Alright, we will now get into the basic kinetic mixer. The kinetic mixer is pretty much the same as the regular mixer as far as what you use it for, but instead requires the create mod to operate, or at least I haven't found a way to generate the RPMs needed for the recipes using generators from GregTech. To craft it, you will need 4 glass, 1 tin rotor, 1 create shaft, 2 create precision mechanisms, and an LV machine hole. Now let's go over the basic miner. The basic miner has an increased mining area compared to the low pressure one at 17 by 17. You could probably justify making this machine. It's not super fast, but it uses a fairly low amount of EU to operate. To craft it, you'll need 3 LV electric motors, 2 tin cables, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and an LV sensor. The LV sensor is made with 4 steel plates, 1 quartzite, 1 brass rod, and 1 basic electronic circuit. Now we can cover the basic autoclave. The autoclave can process unique substances like gems. It can also return some dust to its original raw form or make carbon fiber or a nether star. To make the machine, you'll need 4 steel plates, 1 glass, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 LV electric pump. Let's make the basic centrifuge now. The centrifuge can process different stages of dusts and liquids, but most importantly, you can make glue with it. To craft this, you'll need 4 basic electronic circuits, 2 LV electric motors, 2 tin cables, and an LV machine hole. There was also the basic thermal centrifuge, and this one just purifies crushed ore. Craft this one using 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV electric motor, 2 4 times copper wires, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables. Okay, here we have the basic packer. The packer can combine, separate, or reduce dust and GregTech components. To make this, you'll need 2 chests, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV robotic arm, 1 LV machine hole, 1 LV conveyor module, and 2 tin cables. Alright, now we have the basic arc furnace. The arc furnace will basically break down anything you put into it from the GregTech mod, including entire machines. So you could probably use this once you've advanced past a voltage tier to get some of your resources back from the machines you no longer need. To craft this, you'll need 2 4x tin cables, 1 graphite dust, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV machine hole, and 3 steel plates. You can make the 4x tin cables, making a 4x tin wire and crafting it with 2 rubber sheets, or you can use the basic assembler to craft them using the 4x tin wire and liquid rubber. Liquid rubber is made in the chemical reactor using 9 rubber pulp and 1 sulfur dust. Up next we have the basic electromagnetic separator. You can process specific purified dust in this machine and it will extract certain metals at a low percentage rate. You can make this using 1 LV conveyor module, 3 tin cables, 2 2x tin wires, 1 LV machine hole, 1 iron rod, and 1 basic electronic circuit. Now we will make the basic fermenter. This machine only does one thing. It makes biomass into fermented biomass. Fermented biomass is useful to make fertilizer and other useful chemicals once you get to the MV and HV tiers. Craft this machine using 4 tin cables, 1 LV electric pump, 2 glass, 1 LV machine hole, and 1 basic electronic circuit. Let's look at the basic block breaker now. You can put any block in front of it and it will mine it. It will mine obsidian, but it does not mine bedrock. To make this, you'll need 2 LV electric motors, 1 diamond, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV machine hole, 2 tin cables, and 1 chest. Okay, now we'll make the basic circuit assembler. The circuit assembler is similar to the regular assembler, but it creates technological components and is usually needed to move up to the next voltage tier. The area must be free of carbon monoxide when using the machine. To craft this, you'll need 1 LV robotic arm, 2 basic electronic circuits, 1 LV emitter, 2 LV conveyor modules, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 tin cables. Next, we have the basic fluid solidifier. The fluid solidifier simply makes liquid metals into nuggets, ingots, blocks, or components. Craft this using 2 LV electric pumps, 1 glass, 3 tin cables, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 chest. Alright, let's cover the basic fluid heater. The fluid heater, of course, just heats specific liquids that you put in, changing the properties of the liquid and changing the liquid entirely. To craft it, you'll need 2 4x copper wires, 1 glass, 2 LV electric pumps, 1 LV machine hole, 2 tin cables, and 1 basic electronic circuit. Now let's go over the basic item collector. This machine will pick up any items up to an 8x8 area. It can hold up to 9 different items, and you adjust the range using the plus and minus in the interface. To craft it, you'll use 2 LV electric motors, 3 tin rotors, 1 LV machine hole, 2 basic electronic circuits, and 1 tin cable. Let's review the basic world accelerator now. This machine can increase the tick speed of adjacent blocks or blocks in a 3x3 area. You can change the modes between block entity mode and random tick mode using a screwdriver. To make this, you will need the electric blast furnace, which we don't have yet, so don't worry about this. Okay, now we'll look at the basic fisher. This machine uses string to catch fish automatically every 800 ticks. It is required to be in the center block of a 5x5 square area of water below it. To make this, you'll need 2 basic electronic circuits, 3 LV electric motors, 2 LV electric pistons, 1 LV machine hole, and 1 LV machine pump. Next, we will make the basic pump. This can pump bodies of water, preferably to be put into large storage. To craft it, you'll need 2 basic electronic circuits, 4 LV electric pumps, 1 LV machine hole, and 2 large bronze fluid pipes. Finally, this last machine is the basic buffer. It can store up to 9 different materials and 3 different liquids. It's basically a large chest. To make it, you'll need 1 LV machine hull, 1 LV electric pump, 1 basic electronic circuit, and 1 LV conveyor module. In addition to the machines, we will cover the LV battery buffers. You can make batteries and tools that hold a charge and give them EU using the buffers. Once charged, you can power machines with the batteries or use those power tools. There are 3 sizes of LV battery buffers. The first one will charge up to 4 batteries. The next one will charge up to 8 batteries. And the last one charges up to 16. You can build these machines in any order you want, but I recommend the first 9 that I mentioned. You don't need every machine to move up to the next tier of volts. You will only need a handful of them and the electric blast furnace, which we will cover soon. There are over 10,000 recipes for machines and multiple recipes for making many materials and components. You will need to figure out yourself which ones you want to use and what machines, whatever works best for you. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below with any questions or video requests. Peace.